All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I'm Derek Lokowitz, and I'd like to welcome you to our special partner event showcasing the features and functions of GLM Systems ConnectIt tool. Joining me today is Bob from the Donis Group, as well as Glenn and Heiss from GLM Systems. Before we get started, I have just a couple of quick housekeeping items just related to the webinar. First of all, we are recording today's presentation, so I've got everybody in attendance on mute. So that way we can minimize the background noise for the recording. You still have the ability to interact with us via the chat and question functions within the GoToWebinar interface. So I definitely encourage you to utilize that. I will also be putting some resources in the chat, links to resources, I should say, in the chat area throughout the presentation. So make sure to check that from time to time if you're looking for additional information. So that said, let me go ahead and head over to our agenda. So as you can see here, I'm gonna have Bob kick things off and go through a quick introduction of the Donis Group. He'll hand things over to Glenn, who will do a similar presentation of GLM systems and just kind of a brief overview of ConnectIt's capabilities. And then the moment you've all been waiting for, Heiss will introduce you to ConnectIt and walk you through some of its features and highlights. Then I'll jump back on and run through any of the questions that you've got, and then we'll wrap things up and get you guys back onto your day. So that said, Bob, get away.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning or good evening to everyone involved here. My name is Bob Donald. I'm from the Donis Group. I'd like to start by saying since 1996 we've been around, so we've been honing our servicing offerings for all of our clients. Our specialties are in the ERP world with both distribution and manufacturing, as well as synergy. We're constantly looking at what's happening in the business environment, what's changing, what needs to change, so that we're constantly on top of everything rather than offering you services that were good 20 years ago. We're giving you today's environments. We partner with you, the customer, from the discovery meeting all the way through deployment and all the way to the end. So we're making sure that everything goes through as a seamless installation. We're there for continued support of the product. We've been with many of our customers for multiple years, and our purpose there is to make sure that they have a perfect environment that they can work within. We have a combined experience within our staff of over 85 years. We're required to have continuing education and certifications to our products. We're very proud of the people that we have working with us. We're very proud of our relationship with GLM. We've been with them for many years, and we're very excited about the product. We take the knowledge that we have and we pass this on to our clients because we offer training programs as well, which make you more efficient in your business. The Donis Group is a premier North American GLM systems partner. We're an Exact Synergy Silver partner, and we are also a silver partner with Acumatica, one of the premier cloud ERP systems available to you today. With that, I'd like to then hand this over to Glenn to discuss GLM.
Hey, Bob. Yeah, thanks for the introduction, Derek. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks for organizing this webinar. Of course, thanks to all the people that are in this call. My name is Glenn. I'm with GLM Systems for 11 years. All related to businesses with me. Gijs, my partner, is responsible for all that's related to the technical part. Bob just mentioned we are partnering with the Donis Group since 2012. That's 9 years, and in these 9 years, together we've built more than 40 add-ons to enhance synergy. In 2018, together with Philip, Exact North America, and Steve Shorten from Exact Australia, we initiated a project called Synergy Anywhere. with a mission to make business information accessible by sharing, to be able to interact on this information and to automate the transactions around it by using exact synergy. As a result of that, in 2019 we launched the new add-on, and that's what it's all about this morning, ConnectIt. And since then we achieved, we've completed more than 20 projects. Tonight, Gijs, or tonight, actually tomorrow, this morning, Gijs is gonna demo an RMA process using Synergy, using ConnectIt, and also in combination with different ERP systems. I hope you enjoyed the demo. Gijs, I leave the word to you.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. Okay, so we'll start sharing my screen.
There you go.
Yep. Okay, thanks. So everybody can see it. Now, so basically what we'll do is, now Glenn mentioned we picked an RMA process, or at least a light version of the RMA process, and we will use that process basically to show what's possible and what actually ConnectIt is capable of, with some examples in that RMA process, so at least you have maybe a better understanding. But first, let me do this introduction on Connected RPA part. You will notice I will use Connected and RPA actually both together. It's the same product. We launched as Connected, and actually also Exact is selling it as RPA, and that's the same product. So the main part for RPA is where we want to actually give the opportunity in Synergy to connect with more than one system. So Synergy as an Exact product logically will connect to Globe. Now, it did connect with Macola, but of course there are also other softwares. And Synergy basically could be used for any company to basically improve on their processes, independent on whatever software they might have in their system. So basically the idea was in the Synergy anyway, okay, how can we develop a product within Synergy, so not next to Synergy, really within Synergy, to make that possible. And that part we would have one thing which always comes up is, okay, I have Synergy, or I want to sell Synergy, or I want to buy Synergy. Can you link up with my back office system? Can you link up with my Macola? Can you link up with my Globe? Can you link up with my Acumatica? Can you link up with my SAP B1? No. And can you link up with my Epicor? I can go on with all different ERP systems that are out there. And before the answer was, no, we cannot. Or we have to write a whole customization to get that done. So the main thing is, okay, how can we do that with RPA? Now, to actually make that possible, RPA is actually 3 main components, where the first component would be the integration part of RPA Connected. The integration part within Synergy allows to map your accounts, your projects, your contacts, all your master data between Synergy and your ERP system or any other software. Another example would also be Salesforce, where we can link up with. Because if that's not in place, then you would have to somehow have another way to get all the accounts synced, to get all the items synced. That's actually the main part of Connected, and able to integrate. And that integration is all configurable. So you can decide what is synced over, what is not synced over, in which direction it's synced over, how often it's synced. You got full control on that part, also on field level, what is synced. So who be the IT or the consultant, they can help you set up exactly how you need it. The second part of RPA is where we want to actually show data in Synergy without integrating. Now, in this workspace that you see here, there's one example for a list of sales orders from Macola. So that's within RPA, we call it a view, which is done with a view builder within Synergy. So we can directly, in this case, show sales orders from Macola. Or another example, here we have sales orders from Acumatica. Now, in this case, we show the list on the workspace within Synergy. This list, and what we also see in the demo, you can see in a workflow, you can see or make it available on a workflow. You can make it available on account card, item card, project card. You can use it in lookups in browser and Synergy. That's also what we'll see. Now you can, so that way you can actually expose data within Synergy from other systems. And it could be more than one. Let's say you use Salesforce, you use an Acumatica, you use an Macola, basically all those three systems or more, you still could have access to or share data with people in your Synergy. We don't have access to the other systems. So that's, I think, one good feature to have. The third pillar of RPA would be the rules engine. That's for the automation. So the automation, you can think of automatically creating data from Synergy to the other software solution. Or be checking if a certain order is created in Macola or in Acumatica or other system, we pick it up and we create a request within Synergy. Now, there are a lot more examples that are there, but the rules engine for automation. So if we look at it, we have the integration piece for integrating basically your master data between the two systems or more systems. Then we have the view builder, which actually allows us to show data within Synergy from the other systems. And then we have the third component, which is the rules engine for the automation. Now, one part which is also included within RPA is also the use of free fields. Now, if you're using the workflow in Synergy, now you have limited fields available. So within RPA, we extended that also to 100 fields for each type. So by using the workflow for your improvement processes, a lot of time you'll notice, hey, I'm missing extra fields. Now that's also all part of RPA. So we don't have a limitation there. And there are more add-ons which we actually incorporate in RPA. So those three components is actually, now what Glenn mentioned, we got 40 add-ons within Synergy, and RPA basically is a combination of those add-ons. So let's say the automation, the rules engine is something that's already available for about 7 years. So it's not all new. Some parts are new, other parts are just enhanced to make it work with other systems. So let's so quickly show the parts of RPA, and after that we'll show the RMA example to see RPA in action. So we have our so-called providers, and basically that's actually the software solutions that we support at this moment. So Acumatica, DocuSign. Now we can also read incoming email. Now we have the exact products. We've got the Macola products. So some of them we are still working on. So from Microsoft side, Salesforce, SAP Business One, SQL database. So we also can directly connect with SQLs. Let's say if you have another in-house system which is using a SQL database, you also could link up with that. And or if there's another software using SQL, that also would be available. And this list is basically still will be keep on extending. And what we're also working on is the moment. Now the way we connect, most of the time we will connect up with a REST API, REST services, and we're working on one way to make it generic enough so that you basically can just almost plug and play. You have a software which is using a REST service and API. You can actually link it up without having to do any development to support it. So that's where it will be heading. So it makes it more configurable. Now, and the idea is that for each of the provider that we support, we also allow to do the integration, to use views, and to do the automation with the rules engine. So that will be generic for each provider that we support. Now, one thing, of course, it depends on how extensive is the API or the SDK or whatever option they use to integrate are for those other providers. That's actually basically our limitation we have to work with. But basically, we will allow them and whatever is possible by that API. If we quick look at integration mapping, now here see some examples. Let's see, have a look at, let's say, Macola. Now we link it up with accounts. Then we also have so-called field mapping. Now here we can see export, create, update, delete. So this allows us to say, in which what I mentioned, which direction we can do it and what is leading. Now here, for example, for Acumatica. So it means you also can have multiple softwares, multiple integrations running on the same Synergy environment. So that will be one division is Macola, one division is Acumatica, or any other software that we support. Now, this is all configurable. So it comes out of the box with, let's say, default mapping that you just can import, enable, and you can run the import export. But you can actually configure the way you need it. For example, here we also see the filter. So we can also say, okay, I only want certain accounts or certain items to go from one system to the other system. So maybe compared to some integrations within the exact framework or within the ECI framework, or you have more possibilities to decide what data is actually synced between Synergy and the other systems. So you got more control. Look at the views. Now, views are actually queries that we set up within the system for the different. So you have gone for Acumatica, invoiced items, Acumatica customer purchase orders. So basically, it's all predefined views that are available within RPA, and you also can add your own. And also you can even modify these views which are available. So we have for Globe, we would have it for Macola, for Synergy, all can be used. And they can then be used throughout Synergy to actually display that data in a workspace, in an account. So we saw one view in the workspace. If we, let's say, go to an item, two options that we can say, okay, one is we show it in a monitor. So that's order lines Macola, inventory Macola, Globe. Over here, basically shows you the on-hand inventory from Macola directly from the Macola source. Now that also could be from Acumatica. So here we have, so there's one option we can access it via the monitor. Other options say I want to see it directly on the card. No, Inventor Globe, Inventor Macola, Inventor Acumatica. So in this is just from these two sources we can see it directly. So there you have the option to do it in both. And it's all configurable. So you can decide what data you want to display on the item yourself with the views that are available, or you create new views to make sure that you have the data that you want to see on your account card. So accounts, I also can put my different orders from the different systems for that same customer. So you have one list of servers of Macola, in this case Acumatica. It's not an Acumatica customer, so I don't have any data for that. So that's all accessible there. Now later I will see if I show the RMA example, we also can see, I'll show you where we use it within a workflow. Okay. Then the third part for the rules. Basically, that's this is an example of one flow. This is actually the flow for the RMA, which basically has all kind of decisions and actions on that RMA. So in the RMA, what I will show later, we do some additional validation on the workflow. Let's say if a certain criteria is selected, a certain field becomes mandatory. Another example that we will show is in the RMA, I have 3 fields to fill up a new contact. So contact name, email, and phone number. So let's say when that information is filled up, it automatically creates the contact within Synergy. So let's say, you do have to do it separate. So let's say if via workflow you have the contact information and the contact doesn't exist, create the contact. Basically, these are the steps that are done there. Another part is from the RMA, we create an RTV. So let's say it's a checkbox. When that one is checked, I create an RTV workflow request, and then basically uncheck that flag again. This is just an example of some of the parts of the rules engine, which one is doing some validation. It's creating a new contact within Synergy based on some information that's filled into the RMA request, and also in the process itself, it creates an RTV request within Synergy. Then from the RTV, there we actually create a purchase order directly within this example. We use Acumatica. So from the RTV, we say, okay, generate a replacement purchase order, and it creates the purchase order directly in Acumatica. Yep. Okay, so now let's have a look at the example for the RMA and how their components of RPA could be used and are used in this case. So we have some so it's now mentioned, okay, we can select a contact here. If we don't select, let's say here we have 3 fields. Let's say if it's a new person from this company which handles the return. I'm just going to give some so what I do the moment we save this, it will actually create the contact and it will link the contact. Okay. Next, we would have, now in this case, 3 example fields which directly retrieves order lines, in this case, from Macola. So that's an example that we use here, for a bicycle. But let's say we also can directly get orders from Acumatica, or in this case, we'll also have one example to directly get orders from Globe. So there's no, for each of them, we're able to select orders. And this is actually using the views. Okay, so now we don't have a contact, but when we save, what it will do, it will create a contact. It's done with automation with the rules engine, and it automatically links the contact to the request. Now, so it's created, it's linked. So that would help in, let's say, in part in automation. So it could be one example of how it could be used. Now, another part is, okay, here we selected the sales order. Now in the second tab, in the items we returned, we also have one item on sales order. This one will be depending on the order that we selected over here. So here we have 1-on-1, and you have to select, okay, which item on the sales order they are returning. In this case, we only show the lines for that specific sales order. So we also can do dependency using the views. Once returned, one item shipped. Now this is where I say, okay, we have some additional checking. So the moment we have reason return one item shipped, we have to select the actual item shipped. So I would now actually try to move it to the next stage. We'll get a message, actual item shipped need to be filled in when one item is shipped. So that's depending on what is selected here. If I select another option here, it will still be able to continue. So that means we have to select, that should be, let's say, cable. So and here I have a section for the RTV to basically allow it to select the RTV. And this, in the end, let's say once the RTV is created, so the RTV request, it will automatically link that request here in the related request field. So I've filled up. Let's go to the next stage. So this is where it directly creates the RTV. Now, if you would compare this, let's say, with an event manager from Exact or Knowledge Sync, then this would always happen directly. So the rules engine automation has actually 2 options. One is real-time actions. So the moment the user clicks save, basically it will try to do whatever you defined in the business rules. Where an event manager or knowledge sync would always be afterwards. So somebody approves it, and then you would have those rules, the events running, and basically they will be checking. And this part with the rules engine is one thing that will be on the spot created. Now, this one we need to do. We need one more. So first, I have to go to the next stage to get that done. Now, there's one extra tab also which is available, let's say it's related. So any related information we actually could put in this tab, or we also can put it on any other tab. But this, for example, now this just shows the order number, the order details. Now, this is just a list of orders from Acumatica. And this would be, the first one is empty. So this would show any related request for this RMA. So later when we create the RTV request, it also would show up over here. So this way, and this is all done with views. But this way you can actually have one, you have your workflow request and share all data that's required for that workflow request for people to take actions or make decisions. Show that data directly inside the workflow request. So they don't have to go to Synergy or go to an Acumatica or Macola or Globe or to see that information and make the decision. You can make that directly available within that workflow request where everybody is working from before they continue to the next stage. Okay, so let's first move it. Quantity bed one. That's the quantity that will be used for the return. Created. Because we checked it, it automatically creates article. So it will not create it every time. No, I need one more. But you can decide when it needs to be created, or it could be actually do it based on certain criteria you actually create it or not. So now we see it, the return to vendor is created. Now the RMA went to the next stage. So now in the related tab, we actually see the return to vendor. So also, let's say if you create maybe a check task or a task for somebody for this RMA for them to follow up on certain actions, it also will show in here. So that way you have all the information in hand and you can directly see, and even you can put in the remark field also here. So you can see it directly from there, or move, if it's check task, you move the remark field also to here and extend it in this command field with the rules engine. Okay, that's there. Let's go to the RTV. There actually we say, okay, create, approve, transact. In the transact, that's where we actually want to generate the replacement purchase order. Update. No. So this one is now still empty, and this will actually automatically be filled in with the PO number generated. But we also have here as a list of order numbers, POs that were done before. So they also will show up in here as a list. So it also could be in a tab or directly in here. And then we also can open it directly from here once it's done. Okay, tick, approve. So now actually nothing happened yet, because we actually said, okay, only when it's transact, when it's realized, that's the moment you actually want to generate the PO number or generate a PO. And this now is indeed directly generating the purchase order within Acumatica in this example. So nodes are using some Globe, some Acumatica, Macola, all together. But basically, just to give you the idea that basically we can connect with any of the systems to show you those examples. So we see PO number. So that one is actually created and linked. Now, and also made it a hyperlink. That's basically one of the features that we have in the Workflow Plus, in the workflow, which is also part of RPA. Wait, I want to load this. No, and also it is actually showing up here in the list. This last one. So here we have to order PO directly within Acumatica. So the same we could do for say EM10, where we use their API to generate a purchase order, or Globe, where we use the Globe Entity Service, or with the Salesforce, or with an Epicor. Well, it's the same concept, and the same methods that can be used using the rules engine. I think so. What we saw here was actually a combination, using an RTV process, at least a simplified process, where we use validation in the extra validation in the workflow. We use the rules engine to create a request. We use the rules engine to create a purchase order to the ERP system. We use the views to look up sales orders. We use the views also to have dependencies between different fields. So if I select the order number here, then on the other field, only the lines for the order number are shown. We automatically create data within Synergy, so in this case, the contact. So basically, we can create, update, delete data within Synergy, and also through the other systems. See, now, if we look a bit further within, for example, a view. So here we have an Acumatica view. Now, one important part of RPA is basically the interaction on data from, in this case, Acumatica. What we see here is directly data from Acumatica, but this is the request from Synergy. So you also can combine data. So we can create a new request for a certain sales order. this case, it's just a check task for that specific order number. So it could be some communication. No. And then here we also have the newly created request. It means you also, in your view, you can combine different data sources together and interact on data from the other systems. Yeah, I think this was the demo from my side. Also, I'm expecting some questions or some. I think if there are some questions, then we can, and maybe based on those questions, you can show a bit more and explain a bit more things which are possible, not possible.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a handful of questions in the queue if you're ready to take those guys on.
Yep.
We can, all right, great. Thanks for that, Heist. Let me switch over the presenter stuff to me again, and we'll get the party going here. I forget. So the first question, I'll go ahead and read that off while I'm switching over to the thing here. Is it says, does it work in exact max?
Yes. Okay. So one thing I mentioned. Okay, the API or the web service part. So for exact max, there's no, as far as I know, no SDK or no API to generate data in max. So using an API, which is of course our preferred way of sending over data because then it's validated, that as far as I know is not possible in max. On the end, max is also SQL, so we will be able to show and display data as we see in here. So the view part within ConnectIt will work without any issue. The rules engine part, to create purchase orders, sales orders, if there would be stored procedures or say APIs or an XML which can be made, we also could make it possible. But now I think because there's no API, less features would be available for Max. So it really depends on what API is available and how good is that API and how far we can actually automate parts from Synergy to the other systems.
All right, great. Let's see. The next question here is, so I guess kind of feeding in off of that, are there any limitations to on what types of data can be connected?
So what types? Okay, yeah. So the type of data. So it will depend on what the API actually supports. For example, for Globe, the entity service in Globe doesn't support, let's say, authorizing of purchase order or authorizing of a service order. For Acumatica, it supports all actions basically. Or at least it can authorize, it can put on hold, off hold. For Macola, there you can actually release a sales order, unrelease a sales order with the API. So that depends again also on how good is the API on the ERP side.
Okay, great. So in the case of Acumatica, for example, it tends to live in the cloud, like on Amazon Web Services. Does ConnectIt have the ability to be in the cloud with Acumatica, or does it require a local server?
Well, ConnectIt is all built within Synergy. So if you put Synergy in the cloud, that means also RPA ConnectIt also will be in the cloud.
Okay, great. You said that it is ERP agnostic, but are there any specific ERP systems that it's been successfully deployed on today?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the Acumatica, SAP B1, Epicor, Globe, Exact Online, Macola, Visma.net, but it's not for the Dutch market. Yeah, I think those were the main ones. And then Salesforce, okay, it's not ERP, but yeah.
All the ones we like to play with. All right. Excellent. So how is the product licensed or sold?
Okay, so this one will be okay. So it will be by user by month, and what we actually do is we will look at the synergy license. So all your medium users plus your light users, let's say that's 25. It means you also need to have 25 RPA or connected users. So it follows the synergy license.
Okay. Great. And then the last question I've got here is, would we buy it direct from GLM or do we go through a reseller like Donis?
All options are open. I think depends on how the relation is. Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. I don't see any other questions in the queue. Obviously, folks, if you've got them, you can shoot them over to me via email, and I can make sure to get those answered for you. So we'll move on here. So next steps, right? Obviously, if you're interested in the product, a little bit more information on how it would work within your environment, please reach out to us and we can help set that up. And do more of a customized demonstration and potentially use some of your data and so forth. For more of these types of activities, I urge you to subscribe to our newsletter. Obviously, if you're here, you're automatically on our newsletter list. But if there's other folks that you feel in your company could benefit from this information, obviously have them reach out to me and I'll get them on the list as well. We trying to do more of these types of partner activities to show. So you just don't get tired of listening to us talk all the time, but to just show you more, the breadth of the different products that are out there that we work with a variety of different customers. So same thing, look for more information on donis.com. We're always posting new blogs. A lot of that stuff gets put into the newsletter, but we're always putting something fresh out there. Obviously, even within our social media channels, there's a lot more content that we put in there as well. And respond to other activities within the industry. So that said, stay tuned for more of these events. We're going to continue to do these web series and potentially start doing some face-to-face stuff once things consistently open up and we can all be closer together. So that said, thank you for your time, and we appreciate you guys jumping on here. We will be sending you a recording of this if you'd like to review it again, or if you'd like something a little more custom, just give us a shout. So thanks for your time, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.